What is the sound of one hand clapping? What is the sound of one fist punching? What is the sound of the IronCast? Greetings, students. I am Charlie the Professor Esser, and with me, as always, is my skinny rich friend.
It's Mozz.
It's Mozz. Yay, Mozz. Tonight's episode, Season 1, Episode 10, Black Tiger Steals Heart. Exhausted from fighting, Danny tries to recharge with Bakuto's help. Meanwhile, Rand's management gets another shakeup. Directed by Peter Hoare and written by... Scott Buck gets the credit by Quentin Peoples. It's written by and good old Dwayne Worrell, day in, day out. He's our staff writer. That man, he works like a man who has to work. Let's see here. Okay, we wake up in a place of whiteness and light as Danny and Colleen are in bed together. Hubba hubba, as they say.
Yeah.
And that's a thing.
I thought this was going to be a dream, or like some other plane of existence that they were on. Because now I thought they were part of the hand, or part of Gal.
Yeah. Well, it's a little weird having them wake up there because, of course, Danny is exhausted from spending out all his chi and. And like for what it's worth, Colleen was burnt out from the poison. Danny was exhausted. The only person who was still on her feet at that point was Claire. And
Madame Gao.
And Madame Gao, yeah. But so you knew that they weren't going to be putting up too much of a fight, I guess.
Well, the other thing is, I guess when you learn what's going on later on, it was probably the smartest way that they thought of introducing Danny to that situation. To open up in that tender little moment, have his guard be down, and then slowly release, what was actually happening.
Yeah.
So I think it was probably very calculated to have them wake up in that nice, comfortable, beautiful environment.
Yeah, but again, we're getting this very not Colleen Wing, This is very much a Colleen Wing who is what's the word I want to use? Not empowered. She is very much a Colleen Wing who is not like the Colleen Wing we saw at the beginning of this series. It almost makes me wonder if there is some kind of manipulation by Bakuto in this. Because she is so differential, and she's just as differential to Danny in this at times, because maybe because she's been told you have to get him to accept this. We see that he wakes up and for what it's worth, Danny is not accepting any of this. As he wakes up, he knows something is wrong, because he woke up in this little compound. And again, something that we don't really know exactly where it is, but it does not look like a place that should be in the middle of New York City.
Yeah.
We'll say that much up front.
It definitely had a Xavier School for the Gifted feel to it.
Yes, it did. It very much did. It definitely had the feel of a place that was, not honestly, it had a feel of a place that was not safe. It had the feel of a place that was very much, bound up in, bound up as a cult. I mean, and that's what it really starts to unravel as we go through this, because of course we see that Bakuto is, he has these people and they listen to him and they do what they say. And, they're just presenting themselves as, no, we're the good guys and we all work together and we have Gao. She's locked away. She's taken care of.
Yeah.
But, Danny is very suspicious because I think, and this is something I'm going to say here. I wonder if Danny is growing more as a person. You know what I mean? Like maybe Danny is building up his cynicism, building up his distrust of people, because he had come into this world very much naive.
Open.
Yeah, open to the universe, and now he is
selective.
He's becoming much more selective in the way that he approaches things, and well, you know, I mean, arguably for good reasons. We're not quite sure, you know.
I love that scene with Gao and him, where she says, you know, they're going to steal your ability to trust from you. Mm-hmm. That's how they destroy you. I was like, wow, that's so powerful.
Well, yeah, but she's saying that's how the hand does it. Yeah. You know, and it is interesting, you know, when you think about how Gao approaches things. You could very strongly argue that Gao, you know, when Bakudo is differentiating, you know, himself from Gao, he says that she rules by fear. But I wonder if she rules less by fear and more by honesty and trust.
I think so.
That she and I don't mean now, she's not above using fear, and she's more than happy to be honest about how she's going to kill you. But
but she's a pragmatist.
Yeah, she's a pragmatist, and respect goes a long way for her. And we saw that even when she was dealing with the Kingpin. You know, that the Kingpin was the one person that she respected because, you know, he did not treat her, he treated her with respect, and so she reciprocated that respect. She liked the fact that he, you know, knew Chinese and that they could communicate. You know, she really, you know, gained an appreciation for Wilson Fisk, and Wilson Fisk definitely gained an appreciation for her. You know, and it's funny, you know, you think about these characters who are so arguably irredeemable, but dang if they don't sell you on their own brand of evil. You know?
Yeah.
Whether it's lawful evil or chaotic evil, they sell it to you. They say, no, this is, you know, you can say I'm evil, but I'm just doing what needs to be done in this situation. And I loved this great little conversation. We're going to be jumping around a bit on this episode because Danny...
There's so much going on.
When Danny because of course what happens is Danny realizes that, you know, Bakudo is the hand.
And Colleen is the hand.
Yes. And he made, so what? So he's the good hand and Gao's the bad hand?
Right. Oh, there's two hands now? Are there going to be feet later on?
Yes.
You know, it's like...
Yeah. But then, you know, then she turns it all around on him because he says, you've been raised in a cult. And you know, he says to Colleen, you've been raised in a cult. And he says, no, you were raised in a cult. You were raised in a world where monks beat into you every day what the hand was and that they were evil. You know, you have to, you know, you have to come and choose your own path, and you have to, you know, and trust me, they're not, you know, the hand isn't one thing, is what she is trying to say, what she's been convinced of.
Yeah.
You know, and what exactly this hand is really an open question because we get, again,
is it?
Yeah, well, it's your Steve Rogers Hydra perspective.
I guess. But like he goes and talks to Harold and basically assumes, you know, that things will remain the same. So obviously he's comfortable with the drug peddling and the, you know, the gang violence and all that. So they're not really a better hand. This is just another executive trying to claim power for himself.
Well, possibly. Right? Well, what he actually says is he says, as far as Harold is concerned, everything is going to continue as it has. He's going to keep on doing what he was doing, but that now
that's interesting.
They're working towards freedom, you know, essentially and I love the fact that, you know, Bakudo comes up and says, I'm just here to let you know there's been an executive shakeup at the top. Madame Gao is no longer your contact. I'm going to be that person, but I want you to know that I believe a lot more in cooperation than Madame Gao did. And again, this goes into this what you can almost argue is as an ennobled fascism. You know, that Madame Gao may have been a fascist, but she was honest about it. Whereas Bakuto is just as much a fascist, but he dresses himself up in the robes of a nobleman.
Do you think he actually sees himself as a hero?
Oh, I think so. Yes, I absolutely think Bakuto thinks of himself as a hero. I think Bakuto thinks of himself as the true Iron Fist, arguably.
Interesting.
Because
then if you look at it from that perspective, their little fight scene at the end, right before they decide to start fighting, they have this little stare down and like they pose in front of each other, and like they're sort of puffing their chest out and whatnot. And I think to myself, what was he thinking in that moment? Is he the good guy in this moment, or does he know he's the bad guy?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the crux of it is that he thinks he's the good guy. I think Bakuto always, well, here's the thing. Every villain always sees himself as the hero. Every villain always sees himself as the righteous, the righteous man bringing law and order and decency to the world. Or even if they are pure evil, they are simply, I am the one honest man who is going to, who sees the system as flawed, and I'm going to just take what I need from it. Whether you are a noble thief or even just an honest thug,
Right.
You always see yourself as the hero. Nobody sees themselves as the villain of their own story, except for Kingpin.
Right, but unless some people are just motivated by revenge and they choose to be evil,
But even being motivated by revenge is your statement that I am committing revenge. And revenge is justified. I am an avenger, When you think about it.
I guess the difference becomes, it's like, is it the whole world that's your enemy versus somebody? You know what I mean?
Well,
some people just say, oh, screw the whole world. But, at that point, they're seeing it as justified. But, do they recognize that the rest of the world and them is not a balanced equation?
Yeah.
And they're taken out that to some extent that you are being evil. I wonder.
Is the Punisher a hero?
I think so.
Yeah, but he is a man. He is motivated by vengeance. He does cruel and monstrous things to people, all in the name of that goal of vengeance. And because we agree with his plot for vengeance, we're going to step back and say, "Oh yeah, way to go, Punisher." But honestly, it's a little scary what he does, and it's a little dangerous what he does, and it's maybe not the best thing.
Yeah, but it's a scary and dangerous world.
Well, yeah, and that's how Captain America winds up enslaving the world's populace as the villainous, as the leader of the villainous Hydra. Well, no, because that is what he says. He says it's a scary and dangerous world. There are Chitauri, and there are Skrulls, and there are Kree, and there are Inhumans, and there are mutants, and there are just randomized, superpowered people, and folks that have super freaking science who have nothing but, a freaking book of matches and a super collider, and they are now ready to destroy the world just because they can, just to prove a point, just to show that they were the smartest one there was. And that is what Steve Rogers is coming to the world as. Now, in truth, he has allied himself with villains. That's a whole thing that, just to make a point about the whole Secret Empire thing. Steve Rogers is actually the villain of that story. I don't know why people are thinking that they're trying to say that Steve Rogers is the hero. He's as much a hero as Dr. Doom is ever the hero. He's the hero in that he sees himself as the hero. He's the hero in that he justifies himself as the hero. But clearly he is not the hero. And yes, he's going to convince other heroes to join with him because he's a really charismatic guy, and that's what really charismatic guys do. Like Bakuto, they convince you that they're the good guy. They convince you that the Hand is not bad. We are an ancient order of ninja warriors, We work together, we fight together, and we're going to make the world a better place. Now, sometimes that may mean we got to make some bad choices, but trust me, the world's going to be better off for it. And that's where we're at with that. Now, back in the Meacham story, I'm sorry.
Right. Sorry. No. Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. I don't want to talk because we could talk all day about what happens in the cult compound.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think we could talk all day about what happens with the Meachams too. But basically, you have Joy as the last Meacham standing. So what happens is Wendell. It's Wendell, right? Or is it Howard? No, it's Howard. Harold. Yeah, I keep on calling him Wendell. Harold Meacham basically decides it's time to take everything back. Yeah. And he goes to the chairman's office. And what's his name? I
always forget his name.
Yeah. I forget both the character and the actor's name because he's only been in a couple of things. Anyway, he's there and he's like, "Aren't you dead?"
Yeah.
But of course, Meachams are never more dangerous than when they're dead. And he basically lays out for this guy why he's going to kill himself.
Yeah.
And he says, look, you're a man under a lot of stress. This is inevitable. You get to go out a hero if you kill yourself, and if you don't, think about what's going to happen to your son with his, makes this whole statement about, how his son is so fragile, borderline personality disorder. You show that he has photos of this guy getting arrested for prostitution, and I guess he says, and you've been embezzling from the company pension to your Cayman Islands account. And which is one of those things that kind of made me go, what is that? Is that him saying he manufactured that? Or...
Oh, no. I believe the guy was doing it.
Oh, you think he was doing it? Yeah. Well, because the only reason
I think he was.
Yeah, the only reason why I thought that maybe he was doing that was because Ward had been stealing from the... had been embezzling too. And of course, Harold had to cover that all up,
Right.
Well,
I mean, he had actual evidence, so, why muck up your argument with a conjecture when you have actual evidence? So, I mean, I think he would only present things that he knew would resonate with him as being true.
Yeah, one hopes so.
Well,
yeah. I mean, it was just a little weird to me because at no point did we ever think that he was a guy getting arrested for prostitution prior to that. So it did come out of left field. It was just
something that said, hey, that would be cool,
Yeah, it came out of left field. But then again, maybe that's some of the best plot twists is when it comes out of left field. And I
love that he used the tactic that Joy had devised, sort of like a validation of her thinking and of her decision making that Ward never got.
Yes. Well, it was a different board member who was stepping out on his wife, though.
Okay.
Yeah, because that was I know it was a bald white guy was the board member who she had the blackmail stuff on. This guy it was a different guy because at first I thought maybe it was, but then I realized because they showed the pictures because this was the person that she had hired Jessica Jones to track down. She had made a comment on that just to connect it all a few episodes ago. But so it's that. But what I loved about this was just basically telling this guy he's going to kill himself. And what I love about that is just this absolute conviction to the statement. It's your best option. Go kill yourself.
Yeah.
And it's like, but you can see that the guy's sitting there like, are you an idiot? There is no reason for me to do this, and there is no reason for me to want to. And then Ward, or not Ward, Harold, just pops him in the head.
Yeah, and it's more of that impulse control problems. Maybe he wanted to actually get him to do it and enjoy it, but then he just got angry and said, screw this, and boom.
Yeah, well, exactly. And then he has his man who's there. He says, make sure you get the powder and wipe off. He says, well, the camera's going to be back on in so many minutes, so make sure you get his prints on there good and get the powder burns just right,
Yeah.
Make it look like a proper frame up.
Yeah.
And this, of course, gives Joy the in to make her move to put herself back in charge of the board.
Yeah.
Because of course at this point Ward is in the loony bin, and honestly, she's the only she's the only Meacham in a storm. So she is certainly in a good spot here, but she is taking over. And yeah.
I thought that scene could have been done a bit more interestingly. It seemed like a really weak argument for their reinstatement. Oh, you put back the people, the visionaries that made the company what it is. I mean, I find it hard to see that executives would be willing to do that for that weak of an argument. I mean, I think there were better arguments there, but they didn't make them.
Yeah, and not for nothing. I mean, here's what I'd say. I could see them putting Joy in charge, but saying, put Danny Rand back in charge. Yeah, it's like, no, Danny Rand's the idiot who caused all these problems to start with. Honestly, I could say, putting Joy as a figurehead is probably a good idea.
Yeah.
But that she wants to bring in Danny and Ward, who, like I said, is currently in a loony bin.
Yeah.
It's like,
there was no negotiating. I was like, a little disappointed there.
Well, here's what I'll tell you is that most boards are kind of rubber stamps.
Yeah.
For whatever the person who was the CEO does. So these boards tend to be selected based on their loyalty. So, I mean, they may have not been cool with this. And then when the guy who was kind of leading the revolt shoots himself, they basically said, whatever.
Right. I think what was disappointing to me is because they sold me on a confrontation between Joy and the company to get her role back. Mm-hmm. A couple of episodes back, and it fizzled out. It didn't have the impact I wanted it to.
Yeah, well,
that's all.
Yeah, and that again, I have to say that is that budget cut. That is them not having the time to tell as good of a story as the show really deserved. The show really deserved to have more intrigue and more stuff. But I really feel they kind of short-shrifted it expressly because, they had to get the show done and they had to make room for Punisher. Yeah. And not for nothing, they have to get onto the Defenders, which is supposed to tie up anything from Danny Rand's story.
Yeah, I hope that character gets more interesting or likable down the road.
Well, I think he does. I honestly think Danny Rand has been growing on me a little bit.
Really?
Yeah, a little bit. Not much, but a little bit.
To me, it's getting like that terrible pop song that you liked the first day, and now it's just getting really annoying and played out. Well, every time he makes that stupid face where he's just frustrated and doesn't understand what's going on, it annoys me.
Oh yeah. Well, no, they'll agree with you, but to that extent, what I see with Danny Rand is he is like. He is being torn down, and when he gets to that rock bottom, he will then build himself back up.
All right, then I can root for that.
And that is essentially where we are here. And in this episode, he is at full temper tantrum mode.
Right.
He is absolutely just, I don't like it, I don't want it, and I will not eat my broccoli.
Right. Although I mean that confrontation with Colleen was pretty interesting.
Well, yeah, because on a couple levels, the first level is just that she makes a very valid point that how do you know the hand is evil?
Yeah.
And then he kind of gives her basically the Nazi punching argument, which is no, they're evil because they're
evil.
They're the Nazis, so that's why we're punching them. I mean. It's a pretty strong argument he makes, but he doesn't make it well because he is kind of losing his sense. Mm-hmm. And of course, what is happening is his chi is being poisoned.
Right.
It is being poisoned by anger and fear and hatred. And then after he has his confrontation with Colleen, he goes
and finds the command center, right?
Yeah, well, he goes to the command center. And what I liked in this is, of course, then, Bakuto confronts him after he's smashing the command center. Bakuto basically...
And that, again, was a Zoolander reference, if I've ever seen one. Like he's so silly that the files are in the computer, and he thinks he's gonna do anything by smashing these computers, and it's so hilarious.
Yeah, well, and without a doubt, he's not. Like I said, he's not. Yeah, he's just smashing stuff. He is just Danny Rand smash. He is.
Yeah.
He is certainly causing a mess and a trouble, and
it leads to a great fight scene, though.
Yes, it does, and that I think, and that's what I'm going to say is that's the redemption of it in all this, because you do get basically. You get Bakuto basically saying, "Yep, this was a trap. I knew you were either going to do this or try to free Gao. And either one you did, I knew you were going to disappoint me. I knew this was what you were going to do." And then they get into their big fight, and and Danny really holds his own against Bakuto, which is great.
Yeah.
And then you see him get out, and then you see him saved by his old buddy Davos. Yes.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, he's his friend. Okay.
Yes, and I thought that was great.
Yeah.
And him and Davos fight. They do a great hall fight.
Oh yeah, it was. I expected it to be kind of crummy, but it was decent.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I mean, it's very close quarters fighting, but I kind of felt it was a very good, room to room kind of fight, kind of fighting their way down the hall. I thought that was good. I thought Danny getting confronted by was it Daryl? Colleen Wing's old student was pretty neat, and he actually does stab Danny real quick.
The kid does?
Was it Danny or was that Bakuto? No, I thought it was Danny.
No, Bakuto comes in and stabs him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It was holding something special. Like, I wonder, chi and what's it called, where they put the needles in you?
Like acupuncture.
Acupuncture, right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I wonder if he did something to block his chi from working when he stabbed him.
Possibly, or it just had whatever that drug was that Danny was saying keeps him from focusing his chi.
Right.
And so,
and once he saw the command center, and even Harold's apartment was under, surveillance. So I imagine they were aware of what was happening to him at the insane asylum and what worked on him and what didn't. Right?
Oh yeah, yeah. So you know what? That may well be it. They, and then of course, they're saying, Davos says, make the Iron Fist, smash through the gate so we can get out of here. And Danny can't call up the Iron Fist. And then Bakuto says, it's because you're corrupted and all this stuff, and your chi is damaged. Although now that we've suggested this idea that maybe it was actually that they just drugged him, that which makes for a great take on it, a great way to confuse him and to make him think he lost his chi.
Well, isn't that what all cult leaders do?
Exactly. So that's pretty awesome there. When you start to break it down, but then we see that Colleen basically breaks free. You see her,
or helps them escape and then is forced to leave or face the wrath of the Hand.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Or so they would like you to believe.
I think she actually leaves of her own. I think she runs away.
I mean, here's how. I mean, like, it could be. This is what I was thinking. That this guy is smart, Bukadu, and he knows all the games and whatever move somebody's going to make and how he needs to respond. So he probably envisioned a time where if Danny really does want to leave, the only way to still stay connected to him and have a chance at repitching him would be if Colleen stays with him. So if they planned it out that if he tries to escape, help him escape, and you go with him and earn his favor back, and then try to bring him back to us again. Maybe.
Maybe. I mean, that's a little bit that's a little bit further down the line than I imagine he'd go, but entirely possible.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, it's possible. You say it and you go, maybe that is the way. Maybe he can.
I'm just having a hard time trusting Colleen.
Oh yeah, I mean, really, it's hard to trust Colleen at this point. But you know what? Yeah. We do know that she is supposed to be a hero. She's supposed to use her hand training for good. So, arguably, in time, she will. At the Davos and Danny escape, and Colleen runs off into the woods. And then again, we don't see where this place is or how far they are from Manhattan. But then all of a sudden they're in Manhattan. And Davos is saying, we got to get to a plan. We got to get you back to, and he tells him like several times, you are like the worst Iron Fist ever.
Yeah.
But, he says, we have to get you back to Kunlun. The pathway is open and no one is guarding it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah. And he really makes this point. And, we have to go protect the people of Kunlun. And then he's like, well, what about these people? Don't they deserve protecting? And he's like, the people trying to kill you? No, they don't.
Like you really get the sense that Davos just has no respect for humans. And so, like, when he says in return that, like the people of Kunlun, how do they feel about the people here? It's saying like maybe at some point they left us and stopped protecting us to protect Kunlun. And he's supposed to be there to protect them. But why did he leave? He's supposed to be there to protect them. Yeah. So, because according to how Davos, it seems, sees the world is that people on Earth don't matter. We must protect Kunlun.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I kind of get the feeling that is, well, you know what? I mean, it's one of these things where I think that the world is full of shades of gray. Yeah. And Kunlun's protector needs to be in a world of black and white. The hand is bad. Fascism is bad. Nazis are bad. The hand is all part of that. There is not this nuance to it. You have to accept the world as a place of darkness that we fight against. And Kunlun is a capital city of heaven. That is a place of purity and truth, and that is where you should return to and help to protect. And
we still don't know why he left, right?
Well, I mean, arguably he left because he wanted to get back home. He wanted to be home because he was sick of not being home. And he knew that if he, one wonders if that was his plan all along, that he knew if he was the Iron Fist, he would be allowed to go to the passage.
But then again, doesn't Davos, I guess maybe Davos got special permission to come get him.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's how I take it. I think Davos got permission to come get him, to bring him back.
Okay.
Or maybe anyone can just leave on the 15th year. But, whatever the reasoning was, honestly, it might have been a situation where Danny didn't even think that far ahead. He's just like,
I can believe that.
Always, he's doing whatever he had to do. And then when the opportunity arose, when he realized I can just go home, he just went home, And that's where we leave it, and we see Danny kind of being left on the street as Davos is kind of wanting to walk away from him because he got to get back to Kunlun. And Danny's kind of torn between how do I fix this problem,
Yeah.
And that is where we leave at the end of episode 10. Final thoughts on tonight's episode, Mozz?
I thought it was great. I thought there was a lot of explanation for a lot of what's been going on, and even more interesting questions have been laid out in front of us.
Yeah, I do think that this series is finishing stronger. Only 3 episodes left, Mozz. I think that we're going to get in these last few episodes a lot of explanations, a lot of opening ups of ideas, and, one hopes it pays off in the end. But we're going to have to see. And right now, like I say, it's growing on me. I do think it's got a lot of strengths to it. I still think that they're struggling with the same things they've always struggled with on this show. But I'm excited to see where we wind up with this. So, Mozz, yes.
Oh, no, I was going to say, once the Defenders comes around, I get the feeling that he's going to be like that little annoying brother your mom tells you to take with you everywhere.
Yeah. So, Mozz, if anyone wants to talk to you about the Iron Fist and all the adventures that you live every day of your life as my skinny rich friend living in New York, how can they reach out to you?
You can find me on Facebook at Mozz Manzor, or email me at mozzmanzor@gmail.com. That's MOZZMANZOOR.
Okay, and of course you can always write to me in that old-fashioned email way at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, @gmail.com. And of course, follow me on Twitter as I live tweet Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., The Incredible Hulk, and anything I dang well feel like at Charlie Esser. That's CharlieEsser. Look for the 2 E's in the middle for quality. And now, students, the day is at an end, and we have walked the path of the Iron Fist, not a path to a door, but a road leading forever into the horizon. Good night.